Eating good at the neighborhood gets you a free pass to Indiana Jones. That's what we hear. Going to Applebee's and buying a nice dinner, taking your wife out for some chicken fingers, little ranch dressing, maybe some honey mustard. Well, you might wind up at a cinema watching Old Indy. That's the name of the game, as Applebee's is giving away free tickets to Indiana Jones. Is it a giant scheme for Disney to inflate the box office for Harrison Ford and Swan Song? Well, we'll talk about it right now. And folks, welcome back to another opportunity for us to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. It is what we endeavor to do each and every day here on the WDW Pro channel. As always, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Joining me to talk about this very funny story is Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter for ThatParkPlace.com. Jonas, welcome back.
Hey, good to be here. I'd like the chicken tenders and a virgin strawberry daiquiri, please.
Of course. All right, now, Jonas, before we dive into this conversation, we do need to take a moment to congratulate somebody in our orbit, a friend of the channel. In fact, the very fellow who forced me onto YouTube back on January 1st of this year, Valiant Renegade. Our friend is, he's making the rounds lately, and for all the right reasons. He's been all over cable news. He's been all over the mainstream media because he has accurately reported the losses that the Walt Disney Company has suffered at the box office, and that plays into the topic we're going to be discussing today. But we want to give a special congratulations to Valiant Renegade. We also have the link to his channel in the video description here. Folks, if you're not yet subscribed to Valiant Renegade, you are now missing out on the fellow who's out there all over the place. He's on every single media outlet there is.
Did you mention that he was on the radio in Los Angeles as well?
CBS News, Fox News. He's been on Newsweek, etc. I mean, he's been everywhere. It's been quite the thing to watch over 24 hours, and we're just so happy for him. And by the way, folks, we will also be doing July 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's the day before the 4th of July, of course, but 9 p.m. Eastern, we are going to have a special live stream celebrating so many of our good friends of this channel who are doing so well. We're talking about Culture Casino. We're talking about Floral from Under a Rock, Valiant Renegade, Lorena Creole, etc. It's time to celebrate, and we can't forget about Fat Steven either. So many channels doing so well and hitting those milestones, and we want to party with them and party with you. However, Jonas, one group that may not be partying right now are the folks over at Disney. We are looking currently at the website for Applebee's. Now, folks, if you are out there listening as you work out at the gym or you cook dinner or what have you, and you're listening to this as a podcast, not watching the video, just trust us. It's the Applebee's website. And here's what we found. If you go to Applebee's and spend some money, we're looking right now at where you can go to redeem your receipt from the restaurant in order to receive a free ticket. And here's what we've got out of K104.7 FM, a radio station website. Applebee's has your free Indiana Jones movie pass hookup. This by Phil Harris. It says, while Harrison Ford says he's not retiring from show business, the actor has confirmed that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny will be his final turn as the iconic archaeologist adventurer. The final installment of the long-running movie franchise opens in theaters nationwide on Friday, June 30th. That's real soon. According to food news website Chew Boom. Okay, that wins the day. Chew Boom, whoever invented the name of your website, you win. You can see the flick for free if you're an Applebee's customer. And then it says, and here's the trick, folks. Here's the trick, because we call balls and strikes here on this channel as best we can. And this is why we have elected to use this article. As fun as it would be for us to say that this is a grand conspiracy and Disney is attempting to inflate the box office numbers, etc., that's only partly true. It's not fully true. And so let's take a look at this next paragraph. It's important. Applebee's had a similar promotion for the release of Top Gun Maverick last year. This time, the restaurant chain is giving customers the chance to see Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny in theaters on them. Here's how to make that happen. Now, it is interesting to me that the price has gone up. So if you wanted to do this for Top Gun Maverick, you had to spend $25. Now it's $35. It says you get a free ticket via Fandango when you spend $35 before tax. Or if you spend $70, you get 2 tickets, and it goes on to list some more specifications. But Jonas, some outlets out there and some channels have sort of been running this idea that this is a very quirky conspiracy by Disney to inflate their box office numbers. I've talked to somebody in the theater industry, and they said this will have essentially no impact, or at least so small of an impact that it's negligible. And this is part of those normal partnership programs. However, it is really, really funny. What do you make of this?
First of all, I'll say that I was one of the people that thought, what in the world are they doing here? They're doing a much better job of advertising this one as opposed to Top Gun Maverick. Or maybe it's the fact that we are all...
Jonas, here's an article about Top Gun, just in case anybody doubts us and thinks, it's no way, it's not true. Go ahead.
No, I was of the, and they use sweet emotion in the ad. Look at that.
They did, which prevents us from playing it for all of you to be able to watch that ad from last year.
I was one of the people who was like, why in the world are they doing this? Do they have such little faith in the movie that they're advertising at Applebee's? But maybe what they're doing is they're aiming for a very specific market. The kind of people who would, and I'm not saying anything like you people who go to Applebee's, you people who watch Top Gun Maverick. I'm at least one of those people.
That's right.
That they're trying to do some demographic puncturing, aiming laser focus here into one particular type of person. That being said, based on what we've heard from the people we know who have seen Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, it's probably not going to be a very popular movie with that crowd after the first 20 minutes.
No. And, this was one that was really funny to me, too. I laughed when I heard about it. When we were discussing this at back channels, the idea that Applebee's was going to start giving away free tickets to get people to go watch Indiana Jones, that was hilarious. When I looked a little deeper into this, I realized, okay, what this actually is it's a Fandango promotion, a partnership program with Disney and with the theaters via Fandango, and they're partnering with Applebee's, and this is an ongoing thing that they've done in the past, and you sort of get the hang of it. But that is not to undersell, Jonas, that Disney is very, very worried and is not limited to Indiana Jones. However, Indiana Jones may be the canary in the coal mine, as if we have not killed enough canaries so far.
I was going to say, yeah.
How many canaries have to go down, man? But let's take a look at this. I want to show people why there may be a complete and utter freak out. And by the way, we're going to be talking about that later this week as we dive into what's now coming out of Disney. We've got executives from the company who they're really panicked. I mean, I've never seen this kind of language being leaked out from high-level executives. We'll talk about it soon. We're gathering more sources, more resources, etc. But here's just an example of why Disney is so concerned, and then we'll circle back to Indiana Jones, and you'll see it's even more dire. This from the Direct by David Thompson. Secret Invasion suffers low viewership versus other MCU Disney Plus shows. It says Secret Invasion's early viewership numbers are poor, ranking near the bottom of all MCU Disney Plus series premieres. In the leading role, Samuel L. Jackson is back as Nick Fury. By the way, folks, that's one reason this is so concerning. But this time, he may be out of his league. A Skrull rebellion has grown in the shadows for years and is now ready to strike fear and pain on Earth in order to create its own new world. Marvel Studios coined the show an event series, but early reviews do not indicate that it has lived up to that kind of self-made hype. It says that it has the second lowest MCU premiere audience. Now, I want to clarify here as we get into this that Samba TV, I don't trust them at all. I'm not trying to be mean to Samba TV. I'm not trying to impugn their integrity. I just don't trust them. There have been too many cases where I've just said these numbers don't line up with other sources. However, when Samba TV is comparing its own self, then I'll buy into it. So do I buy that 994,000 households stream Secret Invasion's premiere as Samba TV says? No. Do I think it's still very low compared to the other shows that they have measured on Disney Plus? Sure. And so let's take a look at this. The eighth places we have Loki at 2.5 million with its premiere, Moon Knight with 1.8, Falcon and the Winter Soldier 1.8, WandaVision 1.6, Hawkeye 1.5, She-Hulk 1.5, Secret Invasion under 1 million, and Ms. Marvel at the bottom. Now, here's why this is important, Jonas, and I want your take on it. If we look at this, most of the early MCU Disney Plus shows came out at the very beginning of Disney Plus, and they're sitting there at the top. We're talking about Loki, Falcon, WandaVision. These came out very early on, and they have the biggest numbers. Yet they had the lowest numbers of subscribers to pull from. Now we've got She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Miss Marvel at the bottom. They have the largest number of subscribers supposedly to pull from, and yet they have the worst ratings. Jonas, it seems like everything at Disney is going in the wrong direction.
I would say also, except for Moon Knight up there at the top, most of that list has A-list phase 1, 2, or 3 talent right there at the start of it. Whereas
that's a great point.
That goes down as the list goes on.
And then what I really want to focus in on here too is that the mainstream media, they have no idea, and the access media, they have no idea what to do. And I mean that. I'm not trying to be mean to them, but they literally have no idea what to do with this news, because this is so counter to everything that they have believed, preached, proselytized. This is so counter to the narrative that it's supposed to be. And so I'm going to show you now what the direct.com is saying is the reason for this low audience number, Jonas, and we're going to have a good chuckle. Ready for it?
Let's go.
The 6-part event series is off to an upsetting start, especially considering it is only outperforming Miss Marvel so far, which was a brand new character within the MCU. And by the way, it was so low that it didn't register on Nielsen, I think, except for one time. It is an embarrassment to Disney. They're going to try and redeem that character with the Marvels. We'll see how that goes. Here's the paragraph that is at least worth a chuckle and maybe a guffaw. The controversy surrounding Marvel's decision to use artificial intelligence-generated images for the opening credits could play a factor, as many fans were outraged by that decision after watching the cold opening of episode 1.
Okay.
So there we have it, Jonas.
No.
It's AI. The fans got mad, along with the writers during this writer strike. People, throngs of audiences across the nation, angry that artificial intelligence was used in the opening for this series. That's what it's all about.
General audiences do not care one iota about an AI generated image versus anything else. They might have seen it and said it looked ugly, but they would have had to have seen it in order to do that, which I'm assuming that would mean that they have watched the show. The AI generated image controversy is so niche that Hollywood is struggling to get traction even within Hollywood to understand this issue. Most people do not care at all if a computer generates their image. And the idea that general audiences even know that there's a Secret Invasion series out right now is laughable. They've done such a poor job marketing this. They've done such a poor job of creating an engaging story. They've even promised in the press that there's not going to be that many Skrulls in it, which that's a bizarre thing to say about your Secret Invasion storyline, which is all about Skrulls.
I just have this vision, Jonas, of people from Dallas-Fort Worth all the way up to Indianapolis, everybody in between saying, AI generated starts to my series? No way! I'm not watching this.
I'm standing on principle with the artists union.
They turn on Disney Plus. They turn on the show. They start to play it, and they say, "No way! Not in this household. We'll watch She-Hulk." It's so funny. Well, here's why it's not funny to Disney, because all their brands are in free fall right now. Really, I mean, we're at a breaking point. I don't see how this company can continue on its current trajectory. And this comes back to Indiana Jones. This is why, when we're looking at the Applebee's promo for Top Gun Maverick, it doesn't really even register because Top Gun Maverick made so much money. And the percentage of that would come from any of these promos is ridiculously small. But the funny part of this video that I'm looking forward to discussing with you is that we are now looking at numbers so low for Indiana Jones that practically any promo that exists is having some kind of effect on this movie simply because nobody else is going. And so let's just imagine this. Let's imagine that Fandango purchased a certain amount of tickets, which then are redeemed by the patrons of Applebee's, right? And let's say that promo buy was very, very small. Maybe it's $2 million. That would be a small marketing campaign. Well, we're now looking at a number low enough for this movie in terms of total box office that makes up a not insignificant percentage of its total box office. Now, Who knows how low this goes? We'll find out. But let's read MovieWeb as our final article today as we take a look at just how dire things are for Disney. This by Anthony Lund. It says Indiana Jones 5's opening weekend projections spell disaster for Harrison Ford's swan song. It says Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny looks to set for a disappointing opening weekend box office haul. But how bad is it, folks? Now remember, on this channel, we have been looking at the numbers and we have not been following along with the narrative, which has now begun to swing to what we've been saying. I have been predicting for a while that this is a $55 to $75 million opening weekend, and I was leaning more towards 55. Here's what it's going to say we're going to get. Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny seems to be bringing the saga of Harrison Ford's intrepid archaeologist to a close in reasonable style. Yes, that's why you're getting the box office you are. Way to frame this one. First sentence out there is to frame this to be reasonable when the box office says everything else.
Reasonable.
While critics have been decidedly mixed over whether it is a great adventure or a flight of fantasy too far, again, watch the framing, folks. This is 2 sentences in. Now it's mixed critical response, although we know when it came out originally, the reception was terrible. It still is with top critics. The only adjustment here is that they have brought in anybody and everybody who has access to Rotten Tomatoes, and they have wined and dined them. Go watch Film Threat with Chris Gore. Go watch Polly over on Latino Slant. They will tell you it was open bar time when it came to bringing them in to go watch this film for a review. Everything was thrown at them to get a positive. All right, let's skip to the second paragraph. It's where the thing is important. Like many recent releases, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is expected to have a reasonable opening weekend. Again, reasonable, reiterated. I love this. This is a great example of how this is all framed for audiences and for people to carry this narrative. We've now seen the word reasonable twice, 2 paragraphs in a row right off the top.
Oh my.
But for a film that comes with one of the biggest budgets of the summer, that isn't really good enough to ensure its success.
Of the summer?
Currently, yes. Well, of almost forever, yes.
Of all time.
Oh, get ready. We're going to touch that in just a moment because they're going to come out with an incorrect number. Currently, Dial of Destiny is expected to open on $65 million domestically and only $140 million worldwide. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this number is now leaning down towards what we've been saying. It's dead set in the middle of what I've been telling you this film would come out to be. Considering the reported $295 million budget of Indy Swan Song, along with a hefty marketing campaign, this puts the 5th and final Indiana Jones adventure on the same shaky ground as the likes of The Flash.
Ooh.
Now, one thing correct here, one thing very incorrect. Yes, this is now on grounds of The Flash. It is that bad, and The Flash is historically bad. I mean, it is the bottom of the DC barrel. But Jonas, what do you notice about that budget number they're listing?
That 295 budget is probably a little low, considering all of the figures that have been thrown around. And what was the reporting from Valiant Renegade that? Wait! Did they not translate that from Great British Pounds?
That is correct. And not only that, Jonas. So Valiant Renegade has been reporting for a while. Again, our good friend who has been all over the news because he has accurately reported the losses that the Walt Disney Company has suffered box office-wise. But he's been reporting for a while now, and it's been verified on other sites that this actually had a starting budget for production, $332 million, not $295. And again, that's a starting budget. Now, past that point, you get into marketing. They have spent a ton of money on this film that can premiere, and all of these premieres we've seen all over the world, they have not been cheap at all. And so when we are looking at this Applebee's thing, which is funny, in which some sites are, they're making a bigger deal, I think, than is appropriate, but, so be it. And it is a lot of fun to talk about, and it's a funny story. But here's what's sad about it. For a Top Gun Maverick, that promo, if they bought $2 million worth of tickets for to be able to be redeemed by patrons, doesn't have much of an impact. When you're talking about $65 million opening weekend, $2 million, if that's how much they bought, that's not insignificant anymore. And if it drops down to what we've predicted is the floor, $55 million, okay, well, that's a little chunk. It's a little chunk out of it.
That would be 4% of the box office, around 4% of the box office if they bought $2 million worth of tickets.
And so, Jonas, that's how crazy this gets, is the lower that this total box office goes, the more that these small partnership promo programs can have an impact on the overall number. Jonas, how have we arrived at Indiana Jones being so unpopular that we just saw also this morning before recording Andre of Midnight's Edge going into an IMAX screening, the first one in his home country of Norway, and the IMAX theater is essentially empty. There's like one group sitting in one row where he goes in to watch the movie. How have we arrived here?
That is amazing, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're a YouTuber or a press person trying to cover it for their own website or whatever. I would have to go back to maybe around The Last Jedi to show the beginning of the perceived decline of Lucasfilm. They've just shown time after time ever since that point that they have a disrespect for the original source material, and they've also shown that they aren't interested in entertaining films or entertaining TV shows, and everything that has the Disney name attached to it is a detriment to the final product, whether or not it is perceived or whether or not it is an actual loss in quality, which I lean towards the latter, but the first one is catching up with the actual loss in quality.
So if I understand you correctly, then, starting with The Last Jedi, this is a studio which has not been kind to fans, and they have repeatedly ignored what fans want. This may be the ultimate comeuppance from the fans, and this may be the chance for audiences worldwide to say no.
Well, forget the fans. If the fans identify with these characters, there are people that I know who have named their children after Lucasfilm characters, and they're quiet about it, and they're like, but they want to show up to the theater and they want to say, look, this is my favorite thing. Can it be your favorite thing too? And instead, they show up and they see a story about a fatter, slower, disillusioned, horrible person that, if you put in that Just for Men on your hair and get a haircut and maybe lose some weight, could you maybe show up and fight the bad guys? I guess. Who wants to take their kids to see that as their hero?
It feels like, this is amazing, Jonas. It feels to me like they thought they could do Jake Skywalker again, and that the audiences would show up simply because of the title of Indiana Jones. And we're finding out that this is the chance for audiences to say, I will not be put through The Last Jedi again. Which, by the way, makes me I'm a little bit angry because I actually have to go watch this to do the review. So, no good for me, eh?
And for those who don't understand, we're not going to spoil the movie here for anybody who's thinking about going to see this. But it sounds like if you had Rey, but you aged her up about 10 to 20 years and made her a little looser and tried to take all the attributes of Indiana Jones, give them to a lady and make her a little bit more of I'm going to cringe at myself when I say this, a woman of today in the 1960s.
Well, so I have not yet seen the movie, but I have talked with many people who have, and the way it has been described to me is something like if you watched the sad, decrepit version of Luke Skywalker being drug around by Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, except she had just taken about 5 shots of estrogen.
Ooh.
That would get you approximately into what we're about to watch. So, well, Jonas, that's how we arrive at a place where I talk to people inside the industry and they say, well, this is really negligible. It might be $2 million. It's through Fandango, et cetera, et cetera. And then I look at the box office number and I come back and I go, wait a minute. Although I agree with my friend that it should be negligible, now these numbers are getting so low that it's no longer. And so it's kind of funny. But Jonas, final thoughts on this one. Are you going to be stopping by Applebee's? Are you going to be getting some baby back ribs?
Barbecue sauce. No, I think I'm good on Applebee's. I can microwave my own steak at home.
Oh my gosh. And folks, if you work at Applebee's, we still love you. We'll still come over.
It's fine. It's food. It feeds people. It's good. And usually when I go to Applebee's, it's for the company. The food is fine. That was a little meaner than I like to be, but
that's okay, Jonas.
We've seen pictures of the back end of your restaurants.
And on that note, too, if you are named after a Lucasfilm character out there, if you have a name such as that, then we wish the best for you. However, folks out there, parents, probably don't name your children Anakin. Watch the entire series before you do so. All right. That's a wrap for us. We hope you had a good time. We had a good time covering this one. It's really humorous. If you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. The conversation here is over, but the commentary begins. Drop a comment down below. We read them. We care. We covet your thoughts. And the Pro Show is live Thursdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are a member of the channel, midnight Friday morning, right? Early morning Friday, we are going to have my exclusive Indiana Jones review for members first. Then we'll put it out Friday morning for everybody else to see. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one like a root canal. But Jonas, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web?
You know, I'm just going to mention, I was planning to go see Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, and it sounds like between the two of us that I'm going to have the better experience.
You know, it really speaks to where we are right now with Disney, and that I am envious of you for watching Ruby Gillman.
You can find me on That Park Place, where I'm an investigative reporter. I have my own channel called Jonas J. Campbell, where I go through everything woke in popular material, specifically stuff aimed at children. Or I'm on the Pro Show on Thursdays, 5 to 7 Eastern Time, where we like to go through the news of the day, but open it up to where our viewers can comment at the same time. And it is one of the highlights of my week. I hope you all will consider being there with us, because we have a blast.
All right, folks, that's it. We're going to Indy. We'll see you there. We hope you had fun. Keep growing, keep learning, and keep having fun.
Say it ain't so. This just in. Disney lost money on another movie. Why, that can't be. I thought that John Lasseter fella over at Pixar was cranking out the latest hits, and Marvel was unstoppable, and Disney princesses were a thing, and Star Wars was a multi-billion-dollar money-making franchise. I overheard you talking about Disney, and wanted to let you know you're really behind the ball. If you were getting great articles from thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel, you'd actually be ahead of the culture curve and have entertainment explained.